continues to flow.
Sorcery, Eastwood.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I welcome a statement this afternoon from the Chancellor. As she's already outlined, Northern Ireland is uniquely exposed. Up to 70% of people right across Northern Ireland are reliant on home heating oil. Instead of meeting with me, would you be able to tell me that you have plans to meet with the Minister of Economy in Northern Ireland this week, and indeed my ministerial colleagues in the Northern Ireland Executive, to see how we can best support our people?
Chancellor.
It's really important to understand the extent of the impact on Northern Ireland. When we made this announcement of the budget, we did make money available for Northern Ireland to have their own scheme recognising the slightly different energy market in Northern Ireland. I know that the Financial Secretary to the Treasury, who's leading on this work at the Treasury, is meeting with his opposite numbers in the Northern Ireland Executive to make sure that we understand the challenges there and what we can do to best support.
Tony Vaughan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank the Chancellor for her statement, which really does underline the importance of new nuclear to boost our energy security. Many of us who back new nuclear also care deeply about nature, and Dungeness in my constituency is both a nationally important habitat site and a vital location for new nuclear. So does the Chancellor agree that we urgently need a reformed framework for habitat protection along the lines proposed by Fingleton Review, so we can safeguard the environment and welcome new nuclear back to places like Dungeness?
I thank my honourable friend for that question, and also his pragmatic approach. We will be responding to Fingleton in the next few days, and then legislating as quickly as possible to make it cheaper and quicker to build the energy infrastructure that we know we need.
Sir Alex Shelbrooke.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, defence industry supply chains really are desperately in need of the DIP. The Chancellor talks about the money that's being invested, but why is the Treasury not allowing the DIP to go forward? Because it's starting to become really critical, and we need that infrastructure. Secretary of State is desperate for that infrastructure. We need to know when's that coming forward. It was the government's self-imposed deadlines, nobody else's.
Well, we published the Strategic Defence Review earlier this year, and in the spending review last year, the biggest uplifts in spending were at the Ministry of Defence and at the Department of Health. The previous government said they were going to get to 2.5% at the end of the next Parliament. We're going to get to it to 2.6% by April next year, and that money is already being spent. He doesn't need to worry about that.
Peggy Shanker.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I know that my constituents in Derby will be worried about the devastation that they see across the Middle East, and will agree that de-escalation must remain a priority. But they're also worried about the impact on their weekly shopping bills, their petrol prices and their energy bills. Will the Chancellor agree with me that stability for our businesses and local people is absolutely vital given the volatility that we're seeing internationally?
Chancellor.
I thank my honourable friend for that question. That's why I'm pleased that since I became Chancellor, the Bank of England have cut interest rates 6 times, why we're able to take £150 off of energy bills, and also freeze prescription charges and rail fares. And of course, in my honourable friend's constituency, you have Rolls-Royce, who will benefit both from small modular reactors and also the increased defence spending that is already going in.
Ben Lake.
72% of households in Ceredigion and Preseli do not have a connection to the mains gas grid. And for those who filled their tanks over the weekend, the consequences of the Iran crisis have become very, very real. For those who are still to do so, they're very anxious to learn of when any potential support that might be agreed on Wednesday will be brought forward.
Chancellor.
I recognise that there are significant challenges in some areas of Wales, as indeed there is in Northern Ireland, and I very much encourage the honourable gentleman to attend the meeting with the Financial Secretary to Treasury. We have already had representations over the weekend about what is needed, but I want MPs from all parties to be able to contribute to that. But the best way to reduce prices is getting that oil and gas flowing again, which is why it's so important to have both a military solution to get the Strait of Hormuz open, but also an insurance solution, which is what I'm working very closely on at the moment.
Can I thank the Chancellor for her statement this afternoon, and I'll allow a few moments for the front benches to swap over. I appreciate a lot of members will be disappointed not to have got in this afternoon. I will try to prioritise them in the next statement, if at all possible. Which brings us to a statement from the Secretary of State for Defence.
With permission, Madam Deputy Speaker, I wish to make a statement to update the House on the Middle East, and there's a lot to update, and I trust the House will understand. I want to start by praising our armed forces, who are working 24/7 to protect British lives and British interests in the region. From our 400-strong air defence teams in Cyprus, who I visited last week, to our counter-drone specialists in Iraq, our fast jet pilots in Qatar, our command specialists in the regional defence coordination centres, and everyone working on this crisis abroad and at home. Iran threatens us all, but it's our forces who feel this most acutely. So I'm sure the whole House will join me in thanking them for their outstanding dedication and for their professionalism. For protecting British lives, for keeping us safe, we want to say to them, you are the best of Britain in action. Madam Deputy Speaker, the UK's government approach throughout the current developments in the Middle East is founded on three principles. First, defensive, taking the necessary action to strengthen our collective defence. So we took steps